European settlers first began heading west across the Atlantic Ocean to America in the late 16th century. Over the next several hundred years, Europeans would make the difficult journey west for various reasons. Some of them came to America because they wanted to get rich. These people had dreams of finding gold or other treasures on the American continent. Other Europeans came because they wanted religious freedom, freedom that they didn't have in their own countries. Others were workers who came to work in the fields and houses in the new colonies. Finally, some Europeans came to America simply because they thought they could have a better life in a new world. No matter what the reason, anyone who decided to move to America from Europe during this period of time faced a long and difficult voyage by ship across the mighty sea. In 1585, a small group of English settlers came to try to live in America, but their colony failed. In 1607, another small group of settlers sent by King James I of England came to America. They called this settlement Jamestown, named after King James I. Jamestown is known as the first settlement in the new American colony of Virginia. These early settlers, also called colonists, came to America because they were looking for gold. When they discovered that there was no gold in Virginia, they knew they would have to find another way to support themselves. These first colonists faced many difficulties and hardships, and many of them became ill or died in the first years of the colony. Soon, more colonists began to arrive from England, and over time they were able to plant and sell crops such as tobacco, build homes and businesses and communities. Over time, more people continued to come to Virginia and to other areas in America, where they established more colonies and settlements. It was around this time that the system of indentured servitude and slavery began in America. Indentured servants were people who came to America and worked for a period of time in exchange for their transportation costs across the ocean, as well as food and housing. Slaves were people captured and forced to come to America. They were sent to America from Africa and then bought and sold by the colonists to work on the farms and in houses. Another group of colonists, called the Pilgrims, decided to make the difficult journey west to America in 1620. They left their homeland of England because there they were forced to pray in the Church of England, the King's Church. The Pilgrims wanted to be free to practice their own religion, and they believed they could do this if they started a new life in America. A group of 102 pilgrims sailed to America in the fall of 1620. It took their ship, the Mayflower, 66 days to reach the east coast of North America. The trip was long, the weather was rainy and cold, and many pilgrims became sick. The Mayflower arrived in Plymouth, Massachusetts in November. It was almost winter, and the weather was getting colder each day. The Pilgrims were not able to plant crops at this time, so there was very little food to eat. In addition, they didn't have time to build houses, and hunting was difficult because their new surroundings were so unfamiliar. Many pilgrims again became ill, and many of them died. By the end of their first winter in Plymouth, 45 of the 102 pilgrims who sailed on the Mayflower to the New World had died. In the spring of 1621, the Pilgrims' luck improved. They met the Native Americans who lived in the forest near Plymouth. The Pilgrims signed a peace treaty with the leader of a local Native American tribe, and the two groups lived together peacefully. The Native Americans shared their knowledge of the land with the Pilgrims. They taught them how to hunt, fish, and gave them advice about which crops should be planted. 1 year after the Mayflower had arrived in America, the Pilgrims had built a small community which included some houses and their own church. They had also learned how to survive in their new land. The community of Plymouth made Massachusetts the second official colony in America. In November of 1621, the Native Americans helped the Pilgrims harvest the crops they had planted in the spring. They all enjoyed a special 3-day celebration. The Pilgrims were thankful for their survival and grateful to the Native Americans for their help during the past year. This was the Pilgrims' first Thanksgiving in their new land and the beginning of a growing migration of Europeans to America. By 1732, there were 13 colonies settled in America.